Firstly, though, an opportunity to revisit a conversation that we almost had earlier in the program, talking in particular about the electric vehicle revolution, which may have sort of spluttered to a stop, possibly due to a change in government and government policy at the end of last year. But what next for the EV revolution? Maryanne Spurdle from the Maxim Institute joins us. Kia ora, good morning. Thanks for your time.
Good morning, Andrew.
Firstly, got to do this as a disclaimer. Are you an EV owner? Do you have a Tesla in the driveway?
I'm not. As I mentioned in the column, I've got a 15-year-old Demio, and I've looked into replacing it with something a little, that uses even less petrol. But as you read, it's probably going to be something like the Demio next time around.
Well, I mean, Demios are so much easier to hotwire and crash
Yeah.
into dairies, apparently.
If I lose my key, I'm good.
Maybe that is a good thing. But it seems that people with EVs are almost more evangelical than people with air fryers, honestly. Now that they're doing what they can do to save the planet, it's whatever they can also do to make the rest of us look bad for not doing what they're doing. But your article today, I think, is pertinent in that it challenges some of these assumptions that if we all bought Teslas, the world would be a better place. Well, Elon Musk would be richer, which no doubt is a good from his point of view, but it's not quite as green as it seems, perhaps.
Yeah, and I mean, we kind of know this. We know that there's issues with the batteries. We know that we don't have the technology to recycle them. So, they only live 10 or so years, and then what happens to them?
Yeah.
And the lithium and all the other things that they've got. So we know there are issues. And I think it shouldn't all be on EV owners. People have sold it to us. Companies have sold it to us. Governments have sold it to us. And
Yep.
around the world, the EV market is declining. You've got, I think it's Hertz in the US is selling off their rental company. They're selling off their EV line. So the market is kind of correcting for the hype already, even without taking away the incentives that we had here.
There's almost like a Star Trek principle. This is this bold new world. Oh, gosh, we've got this problem. It's called global warming. What we need to do is invent our way out of it. Gosh, aren't we clever? Pat ourselves on the back. But maybe, I suppose, this enthusiasm to embrace this new technology, maybe we've got a little bit ahead of ourselves on this one. Maybe the technology isn't quite there yet.
Yeah, that's the thing. There are elements of it that are wonderful and exciting, and I think technology is going to continue to give us better and better options and
Yep.
more environmentally friendly options. But the problem is there's incentives for companies to be seen to having the answer. There's incentives for politicians to be seen to be doing something and activist groups. And so if they can find the next great thing to solve the problem and market it well, they look good.
Yeah.
Or they, if you're Tesla, you earn money. So there are people out there who have a vested interest in coming up with the fix. And it's really our job to go, have you really?
Yeah.
What are the trade-offs
Yeah.
here? And it's not just EVs, like any policy answer to things. What are the trade-offs? And have an honest conversation about that without, slandering people who disagree with the great answer as being somehow, morally deficient.
Yeah, exactly. And I think
they're not jumping on board.
Yeah, this is a little bit, well, as much of a PR battle as it is an environmental one, really. And and PR and spin seems to dominate so much of the conversation. Who's got more of a social media campaign or is able to morally signal more in this area. And rather than just having robust conversations about the pros and cons of a certain thing, taking ideological positions and yelling at each other. I mean, this is the brave new world we've inherited, it seems.
Yeah. Or even not talking to each other and just going, I'm worried about this. I'm not going to listen to anything that challenges my assumptions. Nothing comes without trade-offs. Everything has trade-offs, and we've got to evaluate, are they worth it or not? And it's good that some people have EVs, but honestly, if overnight we all went and bought EVs, even if they existed, the grid couldn't handle it. And then how would we dispose of them all? So, but, we have to address those things, and new technology has to be introduced at its own pace, you know. So you've got the early adopters, they're doing their thing, and we can learn from what happens. And if the cars catch fire in unfortunate places, like, we need to learn from those things. How do we deal with it and figure that out before, you know, trying to push everybody into an EV?
I mean, call me like a Luddite, perhaps, but that combination of self-driving and spontaneous combustion, that doesn't sound like a fun idea at this point. We'll just wait for them to work the bugs out of that one. And from what you're saying, 10 years from now, there's going to be a glut on the market of almost expired Teslas?
Possibly, yeah.
So,
And in 10 years' time, we might have technology that's not actually EVs. It might be other technology. You know, we don't know well, we've got hints, but we don't know what's actually going to be the best solution.
yeah, certainly. And in terms of the batteries at the moment, as you indicated beforehand, the amount of environmental harm that they do almost cancels out the benefits in some ways. Surely there must be a better way to do longer lasting batteries which don't leave such a scar on the landscape, but we're not quite there yet.
No, no. If I've seen people who calculated the actual carbon footprint between, you know, combustion engine vehicles and EVs, and depending what you're comparing to, there's not much in it once you take into account the creation of the vehicles and the disposal of the vehicles. At the moment,
Yeah.
running it is cheaper. You can say that. Outside of that, you know, it's a bit up for grabs.
I mean, it is easy for us as non-EV owners to, you know, to speculate about this. But hey, just making it personal for a while, just around the corner from the place that I live, a massive Tesla warehouse. It used to be a market garden. They used to grow strawberries on that particular piece of land, and now there's just a small little strawberry patch next to a massive Tesla warehouse. Honestly, those strawberries, I think they were better for the environment than than the Teslas, perhaps. But hey, why not both? A future where we can have safe electric vehicles and plenty of space to grow strawberries as well, right?
I like it.